Test, 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 test. Test, test, test. All right, good. Let's see. What are we on watch? Let's see. What are they doing? Okay, that's just a countdown. Stream starts in an hour. Let's see what IGN is doing.
Tactics-based, kind of hex-based gameplay, right? It's a turn-based tactics game at its core as well.
Right, right, yeah. So you're managing your guild, and then you take them on missions, and then the combat plays out on a hex grid.
And one of the things I wanted to touch on too is you guys started out on Kickstarter, I believe. When? How long?
2017.
2017. So you've gone on long, like 3 years now. How has kind of that journey been?
It's been longer than we wanted it to, but we've made a lot of improvements to the game, and we've come a long way, and we're really happy with the state that it's in and where it's going, and really excited for people to get their hands on it, hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Well, since we're seeing it right now, since we're seeing the combat, let's talk about that first. There's a lot of different flavors of turn-based tactics and hex-based stuff and all that sort of goodness. What kind of sets the Iron Oath apart? What did you want out of the combat? What's important to you? And what are players basically going to be thinking about? Like, what do you want them to think about while they're fighting?
You want to tackle that, Chris, or want me to?
Yeah, you can jump in.
Yeah, so we really wanted, firstly, our hero design, we really wanted them to be pretty diverse and not, I guess, a bit different than, your stereotypical classes that you'd normally encounter in an RPG, like a guy who's just a tank and, a typical mage who has ranged abilities sitting in the back. So we kind of, that's our main focus, just, having powerful characters who are unique, and then just like the Pyrolancer, for example, that's a guy with black armor and the lance. He's a melee fire mage, so he's an example of that. And basically, we really just wanted to. Sorry.
I was just saying, initially he was just a guy that stood in the back throwing fireballs, and we decided
what is this
it'd be kind
game?
of boring if we just completely took the tropes of every RPG and instead decided to give a little bit of a twist on all of them. So instead of just standing back and throwing fireballs, he gets up and close and deals fire damage like that.
One thing I was noticing watching this gameplay as well is it seems like positioning is really, really important here. We already saw it a little bit earlier, but
it looks like a turn-based
placed a little
tactics style
RPG. Knocked them into
it doesn't
that,
look anything special.
That person farther
this is
away.
the Iron Oath.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of synergies between abilities. The Pyrolancer places down that hex, and then there's a lot of abilities that can push or can pull, and so you gotta try to plan ahead and take that into account when you're trying to manipulate your positioning around the enemies and all that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of environmental hazards too. Just then he was standing on the little glowing hex, and that one, if you're standing on it, you can't use certain abilities. So you have to really plan out where you're going to go. And that was created by one of the enemies attacking. It spawned that beneath him, so you have to move around. But then also you have to really think about where you're going to move to, because like Dungeons and Dragons, there's attack of opportunities. So if you get close to someone and then move away, they're going to get a free hit against you. So you can't just move off of that hex. You have to really think about what you're going to do. Is it worth taking the damage from the movement?
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like attack of opportunities is something that I would think I've seen more of that in tactics games, but it feels like this is one of the first I've actually seen lean into that idea.
Yeah, we really wanted to lean into that, and then also have ways around it. It's not gonna one of the problems that
I can't think
run into
of any
characters with fun
RPGs like this that don't have attacks of opportunity.
Trade blows and then it's done. So, but to counteract that, we have a lot of characters with mobility. So instead of just running into a place, the Valkyrie is a class that she can fly several hexes across. So if she needs to get out of somewhere, she can use that to make a whole lot of distance. And then we have other abilities that can knock back and then that allows you to walk away without getting hit with the attack of opportunities. There's like environmental hazards, like in a later part, there's like grass on the ground. And if you're standing in the grass, you can freely move through that and not get hit with an attack of opportunity.
And now we're seeing an overworld map screen. Can we tell me a little bit about this world and kind of the outside of combat, but this part of it. You're walking between towns, you're taking on missions as part of this mercenary company, right?
Yeah, this is where you'll be doing like half of the game. Half of the game is kind of in these dungeons doing combat. The other half is where you're actually managing your guild and exploring the world. And like just then what happened was it was moving to a town, and there was like a dynamic event that happened that said that you've encountered these this person that looks like they're in trouble, and you could choose to help them or not help them. So that's where like a lot of the events will come about, is from these just dynamic encounters that come about as you're exploring the world, or dungeons. Like you might run across.
I don't know.
Mid-dungeon.
I mean, tactics RPGs are usually long in the first place.
Yeah, there's a lot of like text-based.
If you're putting random battles into a tactics
part of the
RPG,
inspiration is from D&D.
Oh, that just seems tedious
little
to
choose
me.
your own adventure type things while you're on a mission. It's not necessarily part of that mission, but it's just something you can choose to do or not do.
And that's also what I feel like what a lot of Dungeons and Dragons campaigns end up becoming, or are from the outset, is essentially a band of mercenaries just running around taking jobs.
Right.
Yeah. I was also a big fan of like Berserk, like the Band of the Hawk, the manga, and I always thought that would be like really fun to really like play out a scenario like that.
And we mentioned Valkyrie, which is now
Berserk.
Seeing
So where does the demon rape come in?
As a class, but the characters specifically, are these randomized characters that kind of get assigned a class? Are they set characters that you'll meet out in the world? How does that sort of aspect of it work?
So they're each class, you recruit them, and they age, they retire, or they die in combat, and then you'll eventually have to replace them by recruiting new people. So the classes themselves, there's 8 classes that we'll be launching with, and they're not tied to a person. The person is dynamically generated whenever you need to recruit someone. And yeah, you just recruit them, you train them up, they have traits, they have personality traits, and there's different skills that you can level up within, they have like their abilities, and you can level up those abilities with different skills to try and augment them.
The characters can also be customized a little bit too. You can tweak the colors, also the portraits in the top left. Those can all be changed, so you can like give people different hair or hair colors, or different eye color, things like that.
I know one of the things you guys mentioned before we spoke here was the inspirations of kind of Darkest Dungeon and that coming into it. And you mentioned aging. And that sort of reminds me of that.
I love Darkest Dungeon. I've bought the game 3 times.
To an extent, you're not going to take one person all the
way.
Oh
my god, that game is so depressing to play.
Necessarily.
Right,
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not a game I ever really want to play again.
Essentially, like when you're traveling around the world, it takes time. It might take time for characters to heal. Like they can be injured. Like right now on the top left, you'll see there's little icons that show that he's got like an arm injury, a leg injury, and those things take time to heal. And different injuries take longer. Like if you get a light laceration, he might be ready for combat in a week. But if someone gets like a broken leg, they might be out for a couple months. So you have to make sure you have like a nice rotation of characters that you can bring in and out of combat.
Is there a base building management sort of aspect to it? Like, how much is that actual management side of things? How deep does that go?
You definitely have to manage. Sorry.
No, sorry. You jump in there.
All right, sure. So you have to manage, the recruitment, obviously, first and foremost, and that was just a violent death right there that just occurred. And it, so you manage the recruitment aspect, and then you manage when you're recruiting someone, you have to manage the contracts. So the contracts kind of work like sports contracts. Basically.
So I see
sign someone,
a few people have joined to watch the stream. If you want to say something,
per year,
we can discuss expectations, things like that. Also current events. I'm more than okay with talking about that.
Each individual's happiness a little bit.
For the
so if you're not
PlayStation 5, I am
the way they want to be used, or you're making choices.
I am expecting
they're gonna have problems with
$400.
them, and they might end up leaving your company. So you have to manage that aspect, and then as well with
I
the
think-
whole overworld, there's a bunch of different
I think
factions.
more than
So
that
you
is
have to kind
a
of manage
bit
your
too
relationship
high.
with all these different factions, choose who you want to ally yourself with, and be wary of who you make enemies with because they might send bounty hunters after you and stuff like that. So there's a decent amount of management to go on, but there is no base that you have for your company, but there is a skill tree that you can work towards getting different upgrades.
I got to tell you, Football Manager, but for D&D nerds, is something that appeals to me on a deep, deep level. So I'm very much looking forward to this. Thank you to both of you for sitting down with us, talking about it, and showing it off.
Yep, thank you very much for having us. We appreciate it.
That game looked uninteresting. If I'm
For
gonna
even
play
more
a
summer of gaming
game like
goodness,
that,
download the TikTok app, follow IGN, and search.
I'd probably just play Banner Saga. Banner Saga at least has a story because they're set characters. I'm not generally a fan of randomly created characters because I like to grow attached to character design. And generally with randomly created characters, if you grow attached to a character, it's because of the story you made yourself on that character. Like, oh, this guy almost died, and he keeps on lucking out. He's my lucky charm, that kind of stuff. And I don't like that because I know a lot of people do like that because it allows them to make a narrative that they like. But I play video games for the narrative that the game designer is trying to tell.
Hey, thank you. Hi, everyone. So Forclosed is
that Max Scoville?
Beautiful.
I haven't seen him in a long time.
Can you tell me a little bit about what this universe is like, who the main character is, and what is being foreclosed exactly?
Okay, yeah. So the main character is Evan Kapnos. You can see him into the gameplay video, and he's the everyday
Stream
man
is starting
in
to
this,
lag. I apologize for
future.
those few
And,
drop frames.
To tell about this story, we have to explain a bit about the context. So in this future, everyone has brain implants, and brain implants are used to be connected with
Anyways,
cities.
the
So
Sony event starts in about 45 minutes.
The key
That's what we're
concept
waiting
is
for.
that the identity of a person is basically just a bunch of data, and it represents a node into a gigantic blockchain, and it's embedded into your brain implants. So it's something that is given to you by the state as soon as you are born as a way to interact with the universe. The absolute story of our character takes place because when you are old enough in this universe, companies can buy what we call the identity debt of the citizens. It means that since the implants you get from the state, they have a cost. That cost represents your debt to have an identity in this environment and to interact, to have any kind of transaction with the city, to buy stuff and so on. So companies,
and we've got a
buy
few
this
more
debt
drop frames
from the state, and you actually work for the company.
I don't know where these
to pay your debt.
lag spikes are coming from on the stream.
The absurd thing that happens to Evan is that in a mysterious way, the company you work for goes bankrupt, and you have to understand why. But the main thing is that your identity gets foreclosed, just like any other goods of the bankrupted company.
I mean, internet's looking fine.
Yeah, and like at the very
And this is
beginning,
running through
you just reach the code and
a
do some
VPN.
paperwork just to try to find an escape from this bureaucratic mess, we may say. But what actually happened is that while you're trying to reach the court, some mysterious agents start to chase you and try to kill you. So now you have to find a way to escape from
that upload is a bit lower than I usually have, though.
Yeah.
Usually a
there's
40.
a quick escalation
So,
of things that happens to the main character. As soon as you think the story is about fixing the paperwork, basically, what happens is that you are involved in something bigger than you, and the key story is that you have to understand what's going on, you have to try to survive and to get out of the bureaucratic mess.
So it sounds like some good dystopian noir, appropriately cyberpunk. Can you give us a sense of how the world is structured? We've seen some sort of looks like some good exploration and going to different areas, but sort of how are players engaged with this world?
Okay, so we wanted to give the idea of that you will be playing a comic book, and we worked really hard to give this feeling. So the game is not an open world game, and is mainly story driven, but we blend everything seamlessly together. So you will not have a feeling of different levels or level 1 or level 2 and so on. The storyline builds up as you move into this world, and you will not see loading times or something like that. So it's just a fluid, continuous experience. This is just to make the feeling that you are playing it's a fully playable cyberpunk comic book.
Yeah.
So this is the key thing. Yeah.
Let's talk about the combat a little bit. It looks like we're using some implants to throw dumpsters at people. Explain that, please.
Yeah, so as you're seeing, like, implants are extremely important in Forclosed. They are like your curse and your blessing.
Are there any
And
other
that's
streams
because,
happening on Twitch?
You have an experimental firmware installed inside your
I've always found
implants,
IGN
and
to
this
be
firmware is gonna give
very
you,
boring.
Like, incredible combat skills and powers. You may see inside the video you have like telekinetic kind of abilities, so you can lift object, throw the object through the enemy. You can lift your enemy and like freeze them in the air. You can slam them down. You can do this kind of stuff. You also have a very special weapon.
Where are the
which is built to connect
special
and
event
work
streams?
with your implants. And this is a
Maybe it's in
symbiotic
talk shows and
we call it.
podcasts.
So you can actually equip different kinds
Let's see
of
what
pallets,
category IGN is in.
and this allows you to
Special
turn
events.
your
There
weapon
you go.
in what you want. So
IGN.
let's say, you can transform.
I guess that's
simple
just it.
gun into a
IGN.
machine gun.
They're the only
or,
ones.
Or into an explosive kind of weapon, and you can also combine different kind of bullets together. One thing that you have to take care about. Is that because your powers and your implants are experimental.
You know what I
the
want? I
system
want
is
a new
stable.
flashback
So,
game. And I mean like a good
when
flashback
you
game,
use
not
your
that
powers,
crappy
you're gonna overeat your implants, and
remake
you
they
have to
did
take extremely
late in
care
the PS3
of the
era.
eating
That was
level
that was
of the
terrible.
device, because if you overeat the implant, you're going to stun. It's a very painful kind of overeat, and you have to wait until the system cool down completely before being able to use your powers again.
Yeah, so it's a continuous balancing of using the and mixing the power, and be careful because of the overeat system. And you can the powers are unlockable in a RPG style. So since it's depending from your firmware, it's going to upgrade itself as you progress through the story and you fight with enemies. In that way, you will basically have some upgrade cycles you can spend to decide what power is most suitable for you. And so you will see also in the gameplay video, you can throw stuff in the air. You can use telekinesis to attract objects and use them as shields, basically, to protect yourself. Or you can lift enemies, throw them on the floor, keep energetic shields on yourself. And mixing everything together with the gun powers, you basically make your own strategy for fighting.
Oh yeah, and like you're also seeing that in the video. You can also hack devices and systems all around, and depending on the device you're hacking, you will perform different acts, we may say. So, for example, opening a door or making a cabinet explode, and you can even act brain implants of an unaware enemy.
Yeah, so we can use some stealth elements in some fight. It's not something that is always there, because we have stealth when it makes sense for the storyline. but it's also an ability you have as a player.
Yep.
Well, you've both been clearly hard at work along with the rest of the team. What platforms are you looking at, and what kind of release date are we
Wow, that
expecting?
is some delay on the audio.
For release date, we can just say
Is that because of me?
just say it's going to be Q2 next
I guess
year,
so.
2021.
Yeah.
And platform, we aim to we are working on PC, on Xbox, Switch, PlayStation, so all the main platforms.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for showing off Forclosed. It looks great.
Forclosed has closed for now. We're closed. Don't forget, all summer of gaming long, IGN is asking you, Brian, to
What is with these
worthy causes by following the
audio
links in the description of this video
weird
or by heading
audio
to
things happening?
donate.ign.com. You can give to the COVID-19 response fund.
Back with more IGN Expo number 2.
IGN Summer of Gaming is brought to you by Fuser, who will be partying with us all summer long.
I usually prefer to watch things on YouTube because YouTube lets you rewind. But YouTube's having issues right now where it keeps going out of sync.
The next generation of video gaming is on the horizon, and IGN is here to bring you the latest PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X news and analysis.
Frame rate versus resolution, always choose frame rate. Why is that even a discussion?
And analyze all the latest developments around these new consoles. From frame rates, services, features, peripherals, and even all the new tech jargon, Next Gen Console Watch 2020 will keep you up to speed on everything leading up to the next generation of gaming. Join us every Friday for a new episode.
Not only is IGN the world's biggest media brand for games and entertainment, but we also have a team of some of the world's biggest fans of your favorite franchises. From breaking news and exclusives, never-before-seen looks at movies and games, to reviews, Let's Plays, and live streams, IGN brings you all the coverage you need, no matter where
Ghost of
you are.
Tsushima is pretty much the only game I'm looking forward to right now, unfortunately.
YouTube, Facebook,
I have lost
we've
all
got
interest
covered.
in The Last of Us 2.
IGN, the number one source for all games and entertainment fans.
If the reviews come out, and I don't mean reviewers, I mean people whose opinions I trust, and they've got good things to say about it, maybe I'll get it.
Rotating cast of IGN talent, going over all the latest news of the day while taking live questions and comments from chat. We're live,
But I somehow
Monday through
doubt
Friday
that's
at
going to happen.
7 p.m. Eastern, and you can find us on Mixer.com/IGN, YouTube.com/IGN, and Twitch.tv/IGN. See you there.
If you're not following IGN on social media, what are you waiting for? We're constantly updating our feeds to bring you the latest news, gameplay, custom original content, the best user-generated videos and art, memes, and a whole lot more. Be part of the conversation throughout the year. Follow IGN on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Snapchat.
You are a good giraffe, and that's why I love you. Yeah. Oh, hey, Sydney. Welcome back. Question, do you think children's toys come to life when no one's looking at night and you need friends?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they made like 4 movies about it, so it has to be true, right?
What about high-end designer vinyl toys for artsy collectors such as myself and my friend, the giraffe?
You know, they probably come to life too, since there's going to be a video game about it, and video games are pretty realistic.
They certainly are, and so is my giraffe. I can't fault that logic
God,
anyway.
these people
The
are
game's
so
called Blanco's Block
cringy.
Party, and if I'm not mistaken, we've killed enough time with this fake back and forth for me to queue up an exclusive interview with one of the developers. So let's check it out.
This is what happens because all these
Wait,
media
let's see it.
organizations have people who don't actually play video games. These people are like they're journalists, not gamers. So their core competency is writing and doing journalism on video games. Max Scoville is a gamer who's also a journalist, but at least he knows video games.
Jamie Jackson, the Chief Creative Officer for Mythical Games. Jamie, how's it going?
Hey man, what's up, Max?
Who are these Blancos, and who allowed them to have this block party? Tell me about this.
But Max
this game.
Scoville is
What's going on
also pretty cringy.
Oh man, so Blancos, like you said, their vinyl toys come to life. We allowed them to have the party, I guess. There's a whole kind of
But that's probably because his scripts
this
are
is
being
where
written
the idea
by
is
those
where
journos
Blancos
I was
go,
talking
where vinyl
about.
toys go when humans aren't in the room. So the place that they've created is their block parties. And then there's a kind of big place we call the Junction, where they can go and hang out and train up.
Like
and
video game
hang out with their
journalists,
friends. But,
they feel
the stuff
like,
that
you
see
know, when
now,
you
this
were
is
a
actually
kid
the, UGC side of
and
it, so you can kind of build and create
you
your own
see that
world, too.
adult who's trying to sound hip,
like vinyl
like
doll collectible scene. People customize.
they're
all
hip,
sort of
they're in it, they know what's going on.
and stuff. Can you talk a bit about?
They're
how
down with it.
in-depth
That
the user
you know,
created
very
content side of this is?
cringy adult, not
Yeah, sure.
understanding
So from the
kid
Blancos
culture
side, we're
shit.
actually working
That's
with a
what
bunch of
video
really
game
cool
journalism
artists,
feels like.
come and have their artwork.
Don't get me wrong, I'm an
as much
adult.
as
I'm
the
not
world.
with
On
it.
the UGC side, this level that we're
I
looking at now is
don't.
all levels
I
of
don't
human
understand the
building
things
already.
kids like
And
today,
the point
but I
is
don't
really
pretend
was to
to.
build it with a controller.
That's
We
the
wanted to
difference.
Make it really easy for players to build worlds, whether it's just a hangout somewhere they can go and hang out with their friends and do whatever they want, or they can actually drop gameplay in really easily. And it's not about having to code or open something like any boxes.
So it's
it's everything can be
it's
done.
Little
with a
Big Planet.
controller. You just have to drop a toy in. Really easy parameters to set. Season 1, we're going to be dropping.
So Little Big Planet?
Shooting and racing, vibe collecting, kind of platform style gameplay. The key part is it's really easy to build levels.
Cool. So you're talking about controllers. What platforms are you guys looking at?
So we're going to be launching on PC later this year, and we're going to be announcing our console strategy in a couple of weeks, hopefully.
Very cool. Now this is going to be a free-to-play game. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. It's going to be free.
What's up, Mr. Invincible? The PlayStation 5 reveal is in a half hour, so that's what I'm here doing. I have streamed pretty much every major Sony event the past 2 years. Kit is usually with me,
I can tell by the shot behind you. You are,
to discuss,
of
but
and designer
he's
toys.
not.
Can you talk a little bit about
The guys are
artists
still
you've
kind
worked with
of not leaving the house.
So we're not getting into the artists yet, but if you know anything about,
Even though the stay-at-home orders ended
we've definitely got an amazing lineup
Tuesday
coming.
in New Jersey.
And, we live in a world of seasonal content now.
This
so
is
we're gonna just keep
Blanco's
getting
Block
better and
Party.
better.
This is the IGN
Nice.
Game
Now, so in
Days
terms of
stream.
how how you said you're gonna have racing and shooting and obviously plenty of platforming. What are you using to determine sort of what direction you want to go with things in terms of sort of you see?
Sorry, I missed that last bit.
Oh, sorry. Like what? Are you going to be sort of following the community's lead in terms of this, or do you guys have like a pretty strict plan in terms of what you want to roll out first and what kind of content you want to let people play around with?
Yeah, I mean, we have a really good idea of what we want to launch, but the main thing.
I work from home. I've always been
really
safe.
Kind of build for them because the idea of Blancos is you kind of build what you want to play. That's
And I personally believe there should have been no lockdowns at all.
Although we have a ton of plans about what we want to bring, as we get through seasons, we start to see what players do and how they do it differently. We definitely want to listen to them. I think.
No riots in Jersey that I'm aware of. There have been protests though.
Players always play the games we've made in a totally different way than we expected them to. And we want to take that on board and just try and provide a bunch of really easy tools for them to do exactly that. And then watch what they do and listen to what they want and then drop that in them in future seasons.
Cool. Now, Mythical is a fairly new studio, is that right? But you've got a bunch of people who have like really a lot of experience and some pedigree. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Have these
Yeah, so
creation style games ever actually been popular? I mean, we enjoyed Little Big Planet for what it was.
John and I were both at Activision, so my background was DJ Hero. And Guitar
Dreams
Hero.
was popular for like a
John and we
week.
both worked a lot on
Super
Forclosed
Mario
and
Maker
Saga
was popular for like
franchises.
2
Even
weeks.
from just the three of us in the beginning, we kind of had a great pedigree, and we've just added to.
And
that.
every time I play any of these
People from
creation
mobile
style
world as well,
games,
so having that great
what I realize
expertise,
is that
World of Warcraft. So
it becomes
the games
so
everyone's worked on
much
have been
effort
pretty incredible.
to weed through all the garbage creations
What kind of lessons
that
did
it's
you
just
learn
not
from-
worth
from
it.
sort of working in the AAA space that you're bringing to the table here and really sort of turning players loose with?
I mean, that's a great question.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
some of the biggest ones was
the what's it
assuming
called?
everything the player's gonna do at
The
the
Capitol
beginning,
Hill
allow a little bit of room for them to
free zone.
make the game their own. I think you see that in a lot of products these days. As players find new ways to play, the developer's able to kind of switch around and kind of really enhance.
In one day, they already had
probably
bread
one of the big
lines.
things. And
They're already building
we
walls.
really kind of spent a lot of the first part of this project prototyping and playing with it and thinking about how do we want to play with these games? How would we want to build it and not being a programmer?
And they have a warlord enforcing
really easy
order.
to get into, I think, has been the biggest one for me.
We're seeing a lot of level design here. Will the Blancos themselves be customizable? Will people be able to sort of do their own character creation?
Well, my feeling when it comes to that zone is these people have declared an autonomous zone. They have renounced their citizenship of the United States. And with that renunciation,
some of them will just be
I believe that they also lose their constitutional protections, in which case I think they should be declared enemy combatants and they should be put down with
train it
force.
to be good at different things. So you can make it really cool at the shooting, you could make it really fast and responsive for the platforming or racing.
And they should be tried under the Sedition Act.
Customize them.
Cool. Now, obviously, free to play does.
And I think any
but we've seen a lot of really sort of
any
successful
person who
models
lives
lately
in
that
Seattle
manage to,
should sue
balance,
the
make
Seattle
profit
mayor
also
and
offer
possibly the
user
governor
experience. Can you
of
talk a little bit
Washington
about how you're approaching
for
monetization here?
dereliction of duty.
Yeah,
All
we're in
damages.
a different world than we were 5 or 10 years ago. Our key thing is that anyone coming in just has a really good time straight at the beginning and feels value even in that free to play piece. We're going to talk a little bit later on about our structure, but you're going to be able to buy Blancos. I think there's some great games out there that are, we all think in seasons now rather than Blancos 1, 2, and 3. So definitely expect us to kind of take that same approach and be dropping some great content in a seasonal approach.
Now, you mentioned some of the team, has a background in Skylanders. The sort of Toys to Life craze hasn't really had the best history recently. Are there any plans to make physical Blancos, or is this strictly going to be a sort of virtual collectible?
Well, Mythical's kind of thesis really is,
this game cannot be successful.
Is the future for us.
Little Big Planet had the force of Sony behind it.
These things, right? So they're yours
And
to do with what you
it didn't
want.
even be that. It wasn't even that big.
Digital ownership. Who knows whether we bring
Defunding the police is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
Toys, so it would be very easy to do that.
The problems is not police having too much funds.
That you want to play.
There are two problems. The first problem is they're not funded enough,
or have more information.
And the second problem is police unions.
We're aiming to launch at the end of the year, so towards the holiday period.
Get rid of police
like I say,
unions.
We're launching on PC. We're actually going to be having our kind of beta phase sometime towards the end of the year as well. And then
But there are a lot of inner cities. Law-abiding citizens tend to call the police when they need help. And a lot of problems in inner cities is the police take too long to service because the police are underfunded. And all these attacks on police officers just make it so less people want to become police. So there's even less police available.
Our pick for check out this game is called
Yes,
Bravery Network
unions in
Online.
general make it hard to fire bad
Combat
actors.
system that's a bit like Pokemon, but if all of the
That's a problem I have with unions. So like, my feeling is the reason why we have so many bad teachers is teachers unions make it impossible to fire bad teachers, and you can extrapolate that to the same problem with police unions. Police unions make it impossible to fire bad cops. I mean, look at Derek Chauvin, the guy in the George Floyd thing. He was reprimanded, 17 times previously for this kind of stuff? 17 times, wasn't fired. Probably because police unions protected him. Don't get me wrong. I have good opinions of cops. I love the idea of cops. I don't want to put my life on the line to protect my neighborhood. So cops to me are heroes, but there are bad cops. And we need to get rid of the police unions that protect bad cops. If we take all that money that we give to police unions and give them to the police officers instead,
Like what you see,
you know, give more funding to the police
IGN.com/IGN
themselves.
to watch the full extended version of this gameplay.
If we were paying, I don't know how much police officers make, but like if we doubled the amount that police officers make a year, you think they would need to be as corrupt?
I'm City Goodman, and fans of Spellbreak are probably super stoked about what came at the end of that trailer. And here to talk more with us about Spellbreak is Seth Seabach. Hi, Seth.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. So let's just start off. I mean, like I was saying,
We should
coming to
want
Xbox
people to become
and
police officers.
Switch.
We
Can you
should
talk more about that?
be promoting
Yeah, it's super
police
exciting. We're
interaction
really,
with communities.
for a while, and we've
Um,
been, hoping to deliver this. A lot of
I think we need to
people
bring back things like civic centers.
to the Switch and to the Xbox One. I mean, I personally
You know,
can't wait to play my Switch. I love sitting on the couch and using it, so I'm definitely
down the street from me is a municipal civic center.
we're looking forward.
When I was a kid, I'd see it. It's where all the cops hung out throughout the day on their
And
break,
so it's already on
and it was also
PS4
where
and PC.
parents brought their kids for like latchkey and stuff. And I think that would be fantastic. You know, have a civic center, kids can hang out, they can spend time with police officers could get to know the community.
to allow for crossplay.
I honestly have no idea what Ed and Hacker are doing for work.
Players that are anywhere play with their friends. It's one of the things that we have kind of built the idea behind Spellbreak around, is the ability for people to be able to play with their friends whenever they want, and so we're excited to be able to do crossplay at launch.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have.
I know when it comes to work, I'm a lot more fortunate than all of my friends in that I'm not dependent on other people, being self-employed and working from home.
How far you guys are in kind of knowing how you're going to do crossplay, but is it something that maybe you can opt out of and only matchmake against other PS4 players or other controller players? Like, how will crossplay?
You know, I really just don't care about
So definitely you will opt out if you don't want to.
competitive games anymore.
Play with just whoever else is on your designated platform. So if you're on the PS4, you can decide you only want to play with.
Oh, it's another
That would be available, and like I said, we have cross matchmaking now.
battle royale game. Who gives a shit?
So you can team up with your friends.
There's another battle royale game every other week.
Or some of our other game modes.
Work has not changed at all. If anything, my sales actually went up the past few months.
Do not worry, we are going to.
I expected this year to be actually a hard year for me.
So exciting! So
I wasn't expecting to have many sales.
let's say that
But because of the lockdowns, a lot more people are at home, which means a lot more people are using forums. So my sales went up.
Are you able to have the same profile on both? Like have your achievements and whatever carry over?
Yeah, so that's like getting to true cross progression, which is sort of one account everywhere, and that's something we're definitely looking into, and I think we would love to have be available. That's kind of the dream, right? Is that as a player, you can have your one account play on any platform of your choosing, as long as possible. So that's definitely something that we want to get to.
Awesome. Cross progression. The word was on the tip of my tongue, and I basically was just given the definition, but that's okay. Okay, so let's just jump into Spellbreak. For people who don't know what it is, can you just give us like a quick synopsis?
Yeah, so it's an action spellcasting PvP game. The primary game mode that we're launching with is Battle Royale. So you'll be able to team up with up to three players, and it's a 42-person lobbies, and so the biggest difference you'll see here in all the gameplay is, I think, the core combat, which is of course spellcasting because you play as a battle mage, as well as a lot of the like movement abilities. I think the key things that really define Spellbreak are the combat and the kind of sort of like verticality and movement you see in the match.
Kit, you want to chat on Discord? Give me a moment.
To levitate,
Do I even have Discord installed on this computer?
Use for all of your attacks, so it's sort of a blend of what would be like an ability shooter and a more, I think, like MMO style combat where you know things are on cooldown and you want to be tactical on when you're using your abilities at the right time.
Kit, you're not on my Discord friend list. I don't even know what your Discord is.
Yeah, because obviously there's a lot of battle royale games on the market.
I guess you could just join the
kind of carving its
the 8-way run Discord.
I definitely haven't played any battle royales like it. But with that said, what similarities maybe for
And join the
people
general
who are
chat
battle
room.
royale fans can they expect in Spellbreak?
So I mean, like, yeah, the core of the mode itself is very similar. You know, you want to be the last either squad or individual standing, and you have a set of safe zones that get smaller over time that pull everyone together. You drop in with no loot, and you need to loot as you go. And so those are all the core tenets you'd expect from a battle royale mode exist in Spellbreak. We do try to find ways to make it really fit for the style of game that Spellbreak is, though, because like one of the big differences is while we do have something like the safe zones, like the new areas outside the circle areas that are iconic in battle royale. We also make it so that every time you get to one of those circles, you actually level up your class. So you pick a class in Spellbreak, and each one
What's up, Kit?
you hit, you get stronger and more powerful. And so it's a little bit more like a MOBA in that way than it is, I think, like a standard sort of battle royale.
This should be better now, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
No, I love that
Good.
mechanic. I think it's such an interesting thing.
I just didn't want to sit there and do what you call it.
To the battle royale
Type,
genre.
yeah.
With that said, so I'm gonna squeeze in like one really quick question because we're
So what are you expecting from the PlayStation 5 event? Besides, of course, the console reveal and the price reveal.
But
all right, let's see here.
Around Spellbreak is so robust, and I know you guys rolled out a new patch about a month ago, and the reaction was super positive.
I think price is going to be around 500 to 550.
I'm
and I
thinking
think it's going to be dependent upon the what is going to actually be in it.
I'm thinking price is going to be 400 for base, 500 for the top. I think 400 is just a good spot that doesn't turn people away. Like when 400 back when the PS3 came out is like $800 now by inflation. But there's still a stigma of that $600 price. Like $600, if they announced it for $600, that would still be cheaper than what the PS3 was. But like I said, there's that stigma, and people see $600, and that's a hard no, even though they have no issue spending $1,200 on an iPhone.
Yeah, see, the way I looked at it was more about the factors of what they're actually like, what's going to be inside it. Like, I mean, the 2 terabit hard drive alone being SSD, I'm wondering if it's going to be like.
Well, the base is going to have 825. They've already confirmed that. 825 gigabytes.
Oh, okay. So it's going to be at least
it's a 1 terabyte.
Yeah. So then that's my point. It's like I guarantee that's going to be like the 450-ish range.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're going to have like a pro style edition that's going to be like 550, and that's probably going to be the 2 terabit.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, at least how I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I would sit there and say would be, what you call it, game wise.
Yeah, game is a tough thing, because right now the only game I'm looking forward to for the PS4 is Ghost of Tsushima. Like, I got nothing I'm looking forward to for the next half year.
Yeah, I've been looking at that too. Like, Ghost of Tsushima is probably the only thing left for the rest of the year for me. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not even in for Last of Us 2.
Last of Us 2 I've checked out on.
Yeah, I'm the same way on it. I looked at it. I mean, I was tempted to play the first one again.
I saw the leaks, and I'm like, no, I'm done. Nope. So, you know,
I didn't pay attention to the leaks. I don't know. It just, for me, I'm just done with it.
The leaks are bad. So my feeling is, you know what? If people come out and say, don't worry about the leaks, it's actually really good, I'll consider it. but the leaks, I just don't see how it could be a good game.
Make sure you check out IGN.
Yeah, I can see that.
But we aren't done yet.
But it's whatever. Like, I mean, I was debating on the Avengers game, but then something turned me off on that one too. So that literally
The
killed last
Avengers
half of the
game
year.
looked awful.
That's what I said. Initially, it looked decent.
No,
And then,
initially it looked awful. It looked awful from day one.
What I mean by it is, like, I was willing to give it a shot, Jay. That's how I was saying it.
Okay.
It's just later on, as things are getting, I was more about nah. And then I started seeing all the other characters they're bringing in, and I'm like, no, you're gonna have Black Widow, but you're not gonna put Hawkeye in. Fuck you. Now I'm done. Like, I think the fact that I didn't see Hawkeye come in at all yet, I was just like, all right, I'm done with this. That's who I wanted to play. Fuck all the extra motherfuckers in that game, man.
Well, the game
They all
spans
got all
like
that stuff.
20 years, doesn't it?
Yeah, but you still have everybody else, so you can't sit there and tell me Hawkeye ain't there. Get the fuck out of here. Like, get the fuck out. Like, I mean, come on. When they first revealed it during the freaking last E3, not the last E3, shit, what was it? No, yeah, last E3, because they said they weren't coming this year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so last E3 when they showed it off and revealed it. No, that's right, they weren't last year. That was when what's their faces were up there, right?
Oh yeah, they weren't at E3. They did their own event.
Yeah, what the fuck? Who was it? Because they showed it off, and people were like literally sitting there. They showed it off. Everybody's all happy, like, oh, cool. But then, like, in the crowd, they literally said, "Where's Hawkeye?" and they ignored the question. Like, there's a whole clip of it. It's fucking hilarious. Because how would you sit there and have this, and then all of a sudden, oh, no Hawkeye?
Yeah. So there was you see the recent Fast and the Furious trailer?
No.
The game looks so bad. Like, every trailer they release, it's like, why are you doing this? This looks like a PlayStation 2 era game in HD.
Yeah.
It looks so bad.
The biggest points that I want to know about this is overall what this system's going to do. Backwards compatibility, they're saying up to 4 for certain games. I'm wondering if they're going to do more, because that's what a lot of people are hoping. A lot of people really want to be able to play their older stuff on this
don't
hardware.
expect PS3 backwards compatibility. PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 backwards compatibility will be very easy for them to do. PlayStation 3 is tougher because of the nature of the hardware.
Yeah, because of the cell processor that they use that time.
And I just don't see a reason for them to do it, especially since so much of the PS3 library has been re-released on the PS4. I spent the last month upgrading my PS3 library because, like, hey, I have this game on PS3, but you know what? It was re-released on PS4. It's only $10. Go for it. So I did that all last month. I've been selling all my games on Facebook Marketplace. So I only have 5 games left.
Nah, I hear you.
So I really just don't see PS3 happening. The question is...
That's probably the reason why I kept my PS3. Like, I still have it. It's hooked up. I know every once in a while my brother and, like, Chris sit there and play Magic the Gathering on there.
the good one.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, there's another one that's actually really good, but they never ported it to any system. They just left it on PC. So they were like, fuck that one. So
I
whatever.
think the question for backwards compatibility will be for PS4. Is it going to be all PS4 games? Because, you know, they have a confirmed list of games that they're saying backwards compatibility is working properly.
Right.
But that doesn't mean backwards compatibility is not working on the other games, just that they haven't tested them fully.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if backwards compatibility is going to be, you know, any game, but we just don't know.
Yeah, that's the one thing I want to know. And the factor is that my biggest question comes down to is the following games are probably going to be all Unreal 5 because of what they showed off during the what was it, Epic? Who was it that showed it off? Because
probably Epic.
Yeah, so I think before they were showing off Ghost of Tsushima, there was a whole tech demo off the PS5 using Unreal 5.
I wish I'd stop seeing Unreal games.
Well,
they all
actually, you saw that tech demo though, right?
Yeah, but it still has that Unreal feeling to it. Like, there are Unreal games whenever they release a new engine, for like the first 2 or 3 years, all the games sort of look the same.
Right.
It takes a long time before developers can actually manage to make the games look different. Like Dragon Quest XI is an Unreal 4 game. It doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
They did a really good job with that. Unreal 3, no developer managed to make their games look different. Every Unreal 3 game looks exactly the same.
Might just be happening very, very soon.
So, I'm just not a fan of that engine because of things like that.
Well, I think the thing for game-wise right now, I'd say Elden Ring, because I want to see something about that game.
We're not going to see Elden Ring today.
You think so?
No, we're not going to. I don't expect that. I think that is a strictly. Elden Ring is Namco, right?
Is it?
Yeah, isn't Namco publishing it?
I don't remember.
Yeah, well, if Namco's publishing it, I don't see how Namco likes to keep things sort of to themselves or get exclusive time, and they're going to be sharing that time with the PlayStation 5, and I feel like they wouldn't want to do that.
Okay.
So like,
oh wait, that reminds me. There's a Tales game that comes out towards the end of the year.
Tales of Arise.
Gonna get that?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get that, but that's a long way away.
Oh, it's like not even 6 months. Get out of here.
I don't know the actual date. Let me look it up.
I think it's like November-ish.
No,
So
it doesn't
it's
have a
probably
date.
only like 5-ish.
Doesn't have a date.
Oh, it doesn't have a date. Never
Nope.
mind then.
I generally use PlayStationTrophies.org for my release date list.
Okay. So you know what that means then? There's a chance that's going to be a 5 release.
Yeah, it's probably going to be right on the cusp, so they'll probably release it on both consoles.
Yeah.
That's another one. That's an Unreal 4 game.
And charity is great on its own. It's a nice thing, makes you feel good about yourself. But by donating, you can also.
Mr. Invincible is in the chat, I think.
Yeah, I think I saw him pop up.
We have currently raised about $15,000 as of.
Actually, it's just over $17,000 now.
Okay, yeah,
But it's like, I just don't see, like, there's sequels, and there's not really many sequels that are going to be a surprise. So if they want to reveal anything, I feel like it would have to be mostly new IPs.
Enough about a limited edition Xbox. Let's talk about everything we know about
I
the
see.
PlayStation 5.
Well, what you call it?
The PlayStation 5 is set to be released this holiday
Shit,
season.
I have no
and
idea
we've
then.
Finally been promised a look at PS5.
Right? Well, I expect God of War 2.
Games at this reveal event remain a mystery. There's still plenty we do know about the PS5 before we get a release date or price details or even a first look at the actual
That could be
console.
possible.
I expect some sort of first-person shooter.
Oh, that's guaranteed.
Yeah. Some sort of racing game.
That's probably going to be Gran Turismo.
I don't know. I think Gran Turismo is sort of just dead at this point.
Not really. I think Gran Turismo is actually still popular enough where people play it enough.
I am dropping a lot of frames on this stream.
Damn, dog.
Yeah.
Similarly, we still don't have a firm release date, but Sony has remained committed to a holiday 2020 launch date.
That would be a crazy reveal right now.
Sony announced
Hey, anyone watching the stream, I'm going to shut the stream down momentarily, and I'm going to take it off of Restream and switch directly to Twitch. So if you're watching not on Twitch, move over to the Twitch channel to keep up. Twitch.tv/8wayrun.
Any SSD available for PC.